Good evening, guys. It's your boy Sly Geordie, and welcome back to F1 23 My Team Career Mode for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. So first things first, after what happened last episode, unfortunately we are once again switching red flags off. This is just unacceptable at this point. Like, we bought a game where it's one of its main features that were advertised were the return of red flags, and they barely work throughout the entire life cycle. Bear in mind the game came out in July? We're in October now and they still don't work as intended. But either way, last episode, if you missed it, you need to go check it out because we scored a win. The first race of the season, of Season 2, we actually got a win, and it was quite comfortable despite the red flag glitch, of course. It would have been more comfortable, so we maybe got a little lucky with a safety car towards the end of the first race, but either way, we pretty much were like first start to finish. Like, we dominated the first few laps, had a little bit of a mess in the middle, but in the last 2 laps after the safety car ended, then of course we returned to dominance. So yeah, pretty good. But now we come to Jeddah, which was a big bogey race last season for the MyTeam car, and honestly, it's not uncommon for this MyTeam car to be awful at Jeddah. And it did feel pretty bad last season. Of course, we had a bit of a difficult time. I think we came P13, so yeah, hopefully it goes better than that, because we're looking to be fighting for the championship this season. Of course, the grid is just so close together at this point that we're quite privileged to be able to fight for that. But this is pretty much a breaking point. This is pretty much Judgment Day. This is really going to show where the car is, especially in terms of aerodynamics. Like, you've got to have your aerodynamics on point for this Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. This is one of the most, if not the most, unforgiving track on the calendar. You know, at least with Monaco you can chuck all the downforce in and you'll be fine. But with Saudi Arabia, you've got to have a mix of really good pace along with really good downforce at the same time. And as you can see, like, we're really struggling here in Q1, getting caught on a lot of curbs. The car is really not responding as well as I would like it to, and yeah, it's quite unfortunate for us because I was really hoping for some improvement. Now, maybe in terms of overall pace, in terms of just power, straight line speed, maybe we can make that up with a little bit of the shakiness, but I'm not really expecting high place positions for this race, so we'll have to see what happens as we do place P5. So we are ahead of Russell. We did have a quicker time than Russell, but people like Norris are in front of us, and quite frankly, Mercedes have not got a very good car this season. If you've seen the R&D chart, and if you saw what happened in Bahrain, so yeah, not a good sign. First things first, but we go on to our second lap now of qualifying 1. Pretty sure it's going to be very easy for us to get out of this, and we do get a P5, so definitely quicker than the Mercedes there. We don't know if they've put on a second lap. They haven't, or they have, and we were quicker than them anyway as Valtteri Bottas heads up the qualifying for McLaren. Max Verstappen, reigning champion in the Red Bull, the 2 Ferraris, and then us. Perez is just behind us. Hamilton and Norris just about make it through to Q2. Russell doesn't make it through. Russell's knocked out in the Aston Martin, which is a shame. He got a bit unlucky in the first race due to the safety car. Ferrari got a bit lucky there, but Russell was fighting us for the win for the majority of Bahrain. So yeah, and this isn't good. The Alpine of Pierre Gasly is actually almost overtaken us on our qualifying lap. So that might have cost us a little bit of time, or maybe him, or maybe neither of us, apparently, because Gasly's actually quicker than us. Then again, we are using a scrub set of tyres, so it's maybe down to that. But I think Gasly would have been cost some time there, as he didn't have the racing line, so that's not very good for him there, as we now are in danger of actually getting knocked out of Q2 here. Same with Max Verstappen in P13, so yeah, we've really got to pull out a pretty good lap here a little bit of a shakiness there. It's sector 1 that I really struggle with this one. With the other ones, there's a little bit more of a margin for error, but in sector 1, very little margin for error, especially on those 2 corners that we just passed. But we seem to have gotten through them the best so far. Honestly, yeah, the MyTeam car just feels absolutely awful. And this is qualifying, by the way. Like, this is not with much fuel. I did a lot in terms of practice sessions, like I always do, and I couldn't really find any improvement without severely hurting the straight line speed. So, yeah, I think we're really going to struggle in the race. Or maybe we won't. Maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe the car will actually feel better. Maybe we can make some changes to the front wing in Parc Fermé, because that's pretty much all we can do. But in qualifying, the car feels good enough as long as we can get a good lap together on each of these one-shots. We should be fine. Like, if we can get a high position for the race, then of course we can really take it easy on some of these corners, because like on sector 1, like, you're not going to overtake me through there, at least through those corners anyway. So if we go a little slower through those corners and then ERS it out, then we'll be fine. But we got a P7 with that lap, so quick enough to get us into Q3, so quicker than Piastri, Leclerc and Ocon. Gasly very unlucky not to make it through. George Russell, yeah, does not make it through to Q3, so yeah, I did talk about him getting knocked out earlier, sorry about that. I've just gotten back from work, so I'm a bit tired. But yeah, pretty much same position as before. He's gotten knocked out, so very not good for Russell. Just basically what I said earlier. Quite strange considering he was really good in the first race. But yeah, setting our first lap of Q3, obviously with the scrub set of tyres, so we can disregard it. It's just a lap to get us on the leaderboard, and now we're looking to get through sector 1 unscathed, and it's really good. As we basically slowed down a little bit, so maybe that'll cost us in terms of overall lap pace, but we're making it through these difficult corners quite well. Taking a little bit of curb there, but we've done pretty well. But unfortunately, Verstappen's going to get a slipstream here, and I'm pretty sure that's either Bottas or Leclerc. They're getting a slipstream on him, so yeah, we actually had the fastest lap for a second there until Max Verstappen took it off us, and Carlos Sainz has just set a faster lap as well. Bottas is there, and yeah, P3 looks alright, and as we go to the end, it's actually Sergio Perez. He puts in a monster lap, a whole tenth quicker than his teammate Max Verstappen, and Sergio Perez starts on pole. What? The king of the streets is back. So yeah, this is what I meant by we have one of the most powerful engines on the grid. We're actually level with Haas and Aston Martin. We're actually going to be over them if we, you know, fit that in. But I'm not sure what to do in terms of the powertrain. Like, do these parts continue on into future seasons? Because I don't plan to stay with Renault in the next season. Of course, season 4 is when the new engine regulations in real life happen, and I want to kind of put that into our little career mode a little bit. So obviously we're not going to stick with Renault. We could actually, but I'm not going to. I want a little bit of change there, but we're going to have some upgrades on the chassis, and yeah, lights out. Time to get to the grid.
So here we are then, welcoming you today to one of the jewels of the Arab world, Jeddah, one of the biggest cities in Saudi Arabia, second only to Riyadh, gateway to Mecca, one of the biggest ports in the region, and now host to the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. So let's take a look at a topographical map of the Jeddah Street Circuit. As you can see, a number of challenging corners for the drivers to master here. We'll see just how much the teams have benefited from their time spent in practice this weekend. And like many street circuits, this track has the potential to punish drivers that get it wrong. Let's hope we avoid any safety cars today. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. It's Sergio Perez on pole today, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Sainz, the owner-driver, Bottas, Leclerc, Hamilton, Norris, Oscar Piastri, Ocon, Gasly, Russell, Hülkenberg, Magnussen, Joe, Tsunoda, Liam Lawson, Teo Porcher, Drugovic, De Vries, Sargent, and Alex Albon picks up the last spot on the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. And Anthony Davidson joins us for this one. And great to have your company. There's no weather to worry about here. What will be going through the drivers' minds as they finish these last-minute preparations?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the rundown into turn 1, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
Well, here we go. On the grid, P4 is really not bad considering what I said, like this car feeling awful. I feel like if the car didn't feel that bad in Sector 1, we could have actually gotten even higher. So, you know, I'm going to be thankful that we have P4, and we're going to see what we can squeeze out here. So, I think we're wanting to pit a little bit earlier than intended. I'm pretty sure the original strategy was that the engineers put out to me was to spend more laps on the mediums than on the hards, but I feel like actually spending equal amounts of time, like definitely don't want to go on the softs considering how bad it feels in Sector 1, especially like we lack enough grip to actually turn the car enough in Sector 1, so being on softs it might be good for the first couple of laps, but it's going to quickly catch up to us, and yeah, not something that would be good in any capacity. But it is quite peculiar because up ahead, Sergio Perez on pole position is actually going for the aggressive strategy. He's actually starting on the softs, which is so, look at that. He's starting on the softs. So whether or not that will come back to bite Checo, we'll have to see. But yeah, the 2 Red Bulls, 1, 2. And Carlos Sainz is in P3, we're starting P4, we're going to aim a little bit towards the right to try and see if we can get ahead of Sainz here, as we wait for all the cars to line up. Here we go, the moment of truth. We come up to 5 red lights. And it's lights out, away we go, and Sainz has an absolute howler. It's a terrible start for him. He's lost so many positions as Bottas has had a great start, alongside us, of course. We take a little bit of curb trying to get ahead of Verstappen, but we actually managed to do it. And Sergio Perez, I mean, this is the perfect start for him. He's already almost a second ahead. So, yeah, this is a great start for Checo. Let's see if he can put together a pretty good race. He's already stretching ahead. Of course, he is on the softs, and we're already getting caught on the curbs. Like, again, this car feels awful around this track. So, yeah, especially with the fuel now, the fuel, like, for the entire race that we have in the car. Like, this is not going to be something we can salvage if we actually end up making some huge mistakes. So we've really got to be careful, because that previous mistakes meant we had to let Verstappen go by. So I don't think there's any chance we're catching those Red Bulls. They seem to be really good around this track. And to be honest, Bottas is faster than us as well. There's going to be a point where he's going to catch up to us. Leclerc's not too far behind, and there's just a massive pack behind us. So if we make any mistake in these first few laps, we're going to pay for it dearly. Like, we're going to be out of the points. We're on the podium right now. We'll be out of the points in one corner. And that is how unforgiving Jeddah is, as Valtteri Bottas looks to overtake us. And I think he obviously didn't do it. I was going to say I think he might have missed out on DRS, but I forgot this is lap 1. Doesn't matter. We don't get DRS. And I actually do set a purple third sector. So yeah, pretty quick there as we aim to keep up with Max Verstappen. We're going to skip ahead to the end, towards the end of lap 3. We're pretty much still in the same position. Bottas has actually fallen away a little bit as Charles Leclerc is now in P4 looking to catch up to us, and we're looking to catch up to Verstappen. We've got DRS now, so let's see what we can do with it. We're having to use quite a bit of ERS to keep up though, so we're really not that good on this track at all. So yeah, we're just going to try and salvage what we can. We're still pretty far up, so obviously we're looking to just win the championship this season, and so we're going to want to get as high a position in every race as possible. And Jeddah seems to be an ultra weak spot for the car, but yeah, DRS is really helping us. We've managed to get the overtake on Max Verstappen, so that's good. But Sergio Perez is pretty much uncatchable at this point. He is over 2 seconds ahead. And so we may as well just cast our eyes backwards and see if we can keep ahead of the pack behind us, Verstappen, Leclerc and Bottas. Of course, Leclerc, we've broken DRS from Leclerc, and so we're going to see if Verstappen can actually help us keep Leclerc behind us, but it looks like he's got no plans in doing so, as he makes the overtake here, and by extension of us not having DRS, Leclerc has managed to catch up. Bottas has fallen even further behind. He's almost 2 seconds behind here, but we do get DRS on Max Verstappen, so we're looking to make the re-overtake. Verstappen is making his car as wide as possible as we now go into turn 1, making a little bit of contact, and yeah, not a good idea for Verstappen. He's now battling with Leclerc, which is perfect for us, because that means we got a lot of fresh air, clean air in front of us now. But of course it doesn't last very long. It pretty much lasts until the end of that lap, as Verstappen is now pressuring us. Leclerc and Verstappen, of course, they're still battling. They're both going to get DRS on us. So here we go, straight into lap 6. Going into turn 1, Leclerc is actually overtaking us, and Verstappen is creeping ever closer. We're going to leave Leclerc to stay ahead here, and we're going to defend Verstappen here to try and stay ahead of him. Of course, we've just got to be really defensive and be really mindful of how we go through the first sector. It's just hella difficult as we now go into it here, and we've got a bit wide, and we've got the floor has gotten caught on the curb, and yeah, we've just lost 2 positions. And again, look at how unforgiving this track is. You know, it's always sector 1. The rest of the track was just fine, but yeah, it's going just like last year. But luckily, like, you can really see how much closer the grid is now, because obviously at this point, yeah, we tried to scrap for points in season 1, but we ended up basically scrapping for P13 with Yuki Tsunoda. So as bad as our mistakes have been here, as awful as this car feels, it's a lot better than last year. So it's a lot better than last season. Again, we get caught on the curb literally on the next lap. Luckily though, we only lose 1 position, but yeah, that's how unforgiving the track is. But again, basically what I was saying earlier, what I was trying to say, the car feels so much better than it did in season 1. So if there is anything we can take, it's that A, the grid is a lot better, a lot closer, sorry, and B, the car is a lot more up the grid than R&D will tell us, of course. Well, I guess that really plays into point A. The grid is much closer together, which means driver skill is a lot more is getting a lot more into play, and so that allows us to get even further up. Now we can actually challenge the top 6. Like, we're still P4 regardless of the mistakes, and at lowest we've been P5 in this race. So it's looking really, really good, and so I'm feeling pretty good about it as we now try to rekindle our mistakes and try and catch up to Verstappen. But we hit the wall a little bit there, and we have to go off track, cut the corner a little bit, and yeah, these tyres are looking a bit worn, and so we go on to the next lap, and we've actually managed to use DRS to catch up. Sergio Perez is looking for a monster undercut, as if he wasn't far enough already. So yeah, he really wants to dominate this race, and to be fair though, he is on the soft, so maybe this is just a normal strategy for him, but either way it's going to be an undercut. Whether he goes for mediums or hards, he is going to be well ahead of us, and we almost got caught on the curb again. We got a bit lucky there, to be quite honest with you, as we look to try and catch up to Verstappen. In P1 here, we're P2, just ahead of Leclerc. Technically it's a virtual P3, because again, Perez is just pitted. He's going to end up out in front of us when we pit, but yeah, it's looking pretty good considering the couple of mistakes we've made so far. So I'm not going to be too mad at this at all, as we now are still close enough to get DRS on Verstappen. So we just want to get as close to the top as possible, as we now just try and ease the car through the corners. But again, like, yeah, you just get caught on every curb here. This MyTeam car is terrible. It isn't my bad driving, because this track is perfectly fine for me in driver career with any of the cars, in the multiplayer Grand Prix and time trial. It's literally the MyTeam car that just feels awful. But I guess that would be like the newcomer one. So we just really need to improve aerodynamics for sure. As we now come into the pits, we're actually pitting earlier than a lot of other people, so we're going to get a bit of an undercut here. Of course, we're not going to be able to catch up to Perez. He is long gone, but we're going to get an undercut on the likes of Verstappen and Leclerc, strangely enough. So they're going a bit longer on the mediums as we now come in to go on hards halfway through our race. Let's see what we can do with these. Of course, I am still a bit scared, if not more so, about Sector 1, since we're now on the hards, and we're going to have even less grip than the mediums, so we'll have to see. But again, these tyres last longer, so maybe we'll be fine. Let's just hope we don't make any other mistakes as we now look to just set the fastest lap we can. And we're going through this a little slowly, this Sector 1, but I would just want to get through it as cleanly as possible. Perez is 8 whole seconds ahead as we now look to catch up to the people who are now pitting, so the likes of Verstappen and Leclerc are in there, and we're actually, yeah, there's the undercut. We've actually overtook them as they now come out the pits, but yeah, a solid second ahead of them. That's going to be really, really important for us later on in the race. So yeah, our objective is pretty much to bring the car home. At this point, I'm pretty sure we could defend the positions really well. Like, even if we lose position, there's enough DRS zones and they're strong enough around Jeddah for us to actually at least stay close. So there we go, and we've actually managed to get the undercut on Bottas as well, who's gotten the overcut on Verstappen and Leclerc. So Bottas is definitely slower than Verstappen, that's for sure. So Bottas being there actually really helps us, to be quite honest, as we look to smoothly go through Sector 1. That might have been the smoothest we've gone through Sector 1 in this entire race. So yeah, things are looking pretty good for us on the hards as we now skip ahead to the end of lap 12. Valtteri Bottas is overtaking us here, and yeah, we're looking to just cover off Verstappen. I'm pretty sure we'll be able to catch up to Bottas because he got in front of us in time for him to have no DRS. We're going to have DRS, so as Verstappen looks to get the slipstream on us, we're going to try and get the slipstream on Bottas. Alexander Albon, oh my god, what an unlucky guy. That's 2 DNFs in a row. What a fall from grace. Like, he qualified top 10 in that Williams. And look at this, we're getting caught on the curves again. Lap 13, what was I saying? Albon, yeah, qualified P10 in the Williams in the first race and DNF'd, and he's DNF'd again. But we've got to focus on ourselves as we got caught on that curb again. We've lost positions now, and now we're fighting with Leclerc, who's being really aggressive. He really wants this position, and quite frankly, he is faster, and we're having to go a bit wide. We clipped the wall a little bit. Quite lucky to not take our wing off, and yeah, Leclerc was managing to keep the position, but of course lap 15 we were able to take it back. He actually pushes us wide a bit, and that's why that wasn't an illegal overtake. So pretty good for us as we now try and just ease the car through these corners. But again, like, even though we slowed down so much, we're still getting caught on those curbs, so that's just terrible. Like, again, this car feels awful around here, and Leclerc is quite frankly all over us as he now looks to go around the outside. Verstappen and Bottas are just what they're gone. They're gone. There's just no way we're going to catch up to them now, and so P4 is what we're fighting for at this point as we now look to get a slipstream on Leclerc, who did overtake us, but he's not going to have DRS. We will, and so we're not going to use ERS. I feel like the DRS is going to give us enough pace as we now look to go around the outside. Leclerc is covering off the inside, but on this corner you need to cover off the outside because quite frankly it's just the racing line's on the outside, and so Leclerc trying to cover off the inside was not a good move there, and obviously we have retaken the position here on lap 16. So a few laps to go. P4 is looking also appetizing. Still getting, well, almost got caught on the curb there. We got caught on that one, and we have to go on the outside here, and Leclerc is now pressuring us once again. He's looking to go down the inside of this hairpin here, and we're going to fight him for this. Very similar to our fight with him just a few laps ago. But this time I'm not going to back down. We're going to use the RS to get out in front. We're going to try and use it a little bit, but now I'm the one who's getting the elbows out. I'm going to push him out a little bit. And instead of going wide and making that an illegal maneuver, he actually slows down to try and stay out of any collisions. So, yeah, that's good for us. But we move on to lap 17. Leclerc overtakes us. And here comes Lewis Hamilton. George Russell in the Aston Martin really isn't that far behind. We actually go down the inside. So you know what I said earlier? Bin it. Because, well, actually don't bin it because it was obviously the wrong maneuver. It didn't gain us anything. As we now look to go past Lewis Hamilton. He was looking real slow there. He pushed us to the outside a little bit. But we've managed to make the overtake there. And we've got P5. But Leclerc seems to have gotten away unscathed. And we've rode the curb there. And we've actually hit the wall. We've actually done well not to damage the car through this race. But it was going to happen sooner or later. It happened in the first race. In the first season, and now we've just lost P5, and now we're battling for P7, which is just Season 1 territory. Quite frankly, our car is better than this, speed-wise anyway, and we're having to cut the corner just to keep the car from going in any dangerous areas, because if we try to stay on track there, we're going to cause a massive crash with Sainz. It's too late to get the safety car out, and quite frankly, like, we would have gotten a massive penalty, so I'd rather corner cut. And so this just isn't looking good now, as Sainz looks to overtake us. Our front wing is damaged. Luckily though, this is Jeddah, and it's mostly like straight line speed, so we still got a chance here. Hamilton and Russell, former teammates, holding each other up here, as we now look to get in front of Carlos Sainz. We're using ERS, but he is looking so much quicker. That Ferrari is an absolute rocket. And we're going to go down the inside. And look at this. We've actually managed to make a triple overtake for P5 down the inside. That's as clean as you like. That was an absolutely amazing overtake. And I ain't faking it like most other YouTubers have been found out doing, because I turned flashbacks off. I can prove that. I actually turned it off in the first episode, so you know that was legitimate. That weren't scripted. I actually did that in real time. And so on this last lap, we are P5, and we've just got to get the car home. We've just got to ease this car home with a broken ass front wing. Carlos Sainz pressuring us. George Russell, Lewis Hamilton, Piastri's not that far behind. Neither is Lando Norris. One of the Alpines are there. So, yeah, this is it. We have to be able to get through this right now. And we're doing pretty good. We're almost a second ahead of Sainz after that original corner. We slowed down so much that Sainz had to slow down as well. And that slowed down the whole pack behind. But it might not matter, as we now go into this final DRS zone, and well, so second to last DRS zone as we go into the final corner. Carlos Sainz has overtaken us, and quite frankly, I don't think we're going to catch him. He's quite frankly got more grip and a healthier car. But P6, you know what? I'll take it. I'm quite happy with that, considering the struggles we had in this race. So, yeah. Sergio Perez won as well. He was nowhere in the first race. So, quite frankly, Verstappen was nowhere near in the first race. Sainz is close enough to us for us to reel him in, and he's the guy who was closest to us. Same with George. We're actually ahead of George Russell. So, quite frankly, I'm not really too frustrated about the championship. But Sergio Perez comes out in P1. Verstappen, well, it's a P1 and 2 for Red Bull. And Valtteri Bottas gets the third spot on the podium.
Here come today's winners. The team at Red Bull have done a phenomenal job recently. It's clear to see that they've put in the work, and they should be proud of the victory they've secured here.
Well, it's redemption for Checo here at Jeddah. An absolutely dominating win in that Red Bull. Max Verstappen and Valtteri Bottas join him on the podium. We could have been there. The car had the pace in terms of like pure straight line speed. We could have been much further ahead, but in terms of the air, like, it really shows that we need to start focusing on the aerodynamics, because Sector 1 just completely exposed the car for what it is. It's just not good enough to get through those sectors. And quite frankly, as frustrating as this race is, I'm glad Jeddah's on the calendar to expose things like this. But yeah, because Sainz and Leclerc were close enough to us, we were actually retaining our spot at the top of the championship. But yeah, look at how many people are in this fight. Look, Piastri, like 8 people are in this fight. Hamilton's there as well. Norris will be there, so that's 10 people. Like the top 10 people on the grid are firmly in this title fight. So this is going to be a crazy, well, sorry, top 9. Or maybe, yeah, maybe it is top 10. I don't know. But Teo Pourchaire was there as well. So, yeah. Great for him, I suppose, and hopefully we can get Drugovich up there with our upgrades going across this season. But yeah, we retain P1 in the championship for now, and we move ahead to Australia, which was actually a really good race for us last season. So I'm quite confident going into it. But cheers guys for watching this episode of F1 23 My Team Career Mode. If you guys liked it, be sure to hit that like button as hard as you possibly can, comment, share and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Until next time, peace.